Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to the Off the Bench podcast. My name is Robert Sellers, and tonight I'm instant reacting to the second round of the college football playoffs, and I cannot wait because it was so amazing. This was just one of the best day, and I guess day and night, if you're counting Friday night too, of college football that I remember. It was so amazing. So much crazy stuff happened. I mean, all of it was wild. And we started it out with Miami upsetting Ohio State. Like, guys, that was the odds-on favorite to win the national championship, and they just lost to the 10 seed. Do you remember all that we were saying about Miami? Oh, this team's terrible. They're overrated. They couldn't beat Notre Dame if we put them on a neutral field with the Irish. This, that, and the other. We were all flaming Miami. They just beat Ohio State. Ohio State was the reigning national champions. They're the odds-on favorites to go back to back, and they lost on Friday night to Miami. So that happened. That happened to start the weekend, and then the very first game. Oregon just absolutely skull drugged Texas Tech. They just took Baron Morton, shoved him in a locker, and kept him there. I think he's probably still in Miami throwing checkdowns right now. I mean, that game was just not even a competition. And it felt like Oregon wasn't even playing a great game. It's just their defense was dominating, and Texas Tech couldn't do anything. And they got a huge, huge win to advance to the semifinals. And then after that, just the wildest full circle moment ever with the Indiana Hoosiers blowing out the Alabama Crimson Tide 38-3 in the Rose Bowl, a game that was not even close. I mean, just to imagine that the Indiana Hoosiers are dominating the Alabama Crimson Tide on a neutral field right now is just beyond all of our comprehension. Like, it is incomprehensible what is going on with the Indiana Hoosiers right now. And they just topped it off with an amazing, amazing win over the Alabama Crimson Tide. And then to follow all that up, the nightcap, to cap it all off, one of the best games in college football all year long. Trinidad Chambliss and whatever the kicker's name is, Carniero, lead Ole Miss to a 39-34 upset victory over the Georgia Bulldogs. Oh my goodness. I don't remember the last time I had this much fun watching a quarterback play football as I had watching Trinidad Chambliss play in that fourth quarter against Georgia. It was unreal. I mean, like, what a day. What a weekend of college football. This is what we live for. And I get it. The regular season definitely is the best. As a college football fan, I get way more excited about the regular season than I do the playoffs. But I think this was by far the best day of football in the 12-team college football playoff era. I loved it so much. I thought it was so phenomenal. And, with everyone arguing about conference supremacy and everyone debating, what we should do with bowl season, and everyone's always talking about who should have made the playoffs, who shouldn't have. To me, it was so refreshing to sit down and just watch some amazing football and to watch some things that really made college football so amazing, and that is upsets. I mean, guys, Alabama, Ohio State, and Georgia, three of the perennial programs in college football, three of the blue bloods, three of the teams that we think of. Like, when we think, wow, the teams could win a national championship, our minds immediately go to Alabama, Ohio State, and Georgia. All three of those teams lost this weekend to Indiana, Miami, and Ole Miss on just three unreal performances. I thought this was such an awesome round. It was so amazing, and I can't wait to talk about it more specifically. So with that, if you're still watching, I know that was a little bit of a roller coaster. I just had to get all that emotion out. It was such a great day. I had such a good time watching football. And the first game I'm really going to talk about is the nightcap, is the game that just happened. Like, I'm recording this almost immediately after the Ole Miss Georgia game happened. Like, usually after games, I sit down, I take some notes, I figure out what I'm going to talk about, and then I come back, I drink some water, I set up my podcast stuff, and then I start talking. But I'm literally just going into this straight up of watching the Ole Miss Georgia game because this game was so amazing. I feel like I had to just go and talk about it. Trinidad Chambliss, oh my goodness, he was just out there balling. Like, pretty much the whole game was just Trinidad Chambliss balling out. Like, it was so much fun to watch. I have a bunch of shout outs to give for Ole Miss. First of all, it's Trinidad Chambliss, 30 for 46, 362 yards, two touchdowns, zero interceptions against Kirby Smart and the Georgia Bulldogs defense. And a lot of those yards and a lot of those plays, and none of it was drawn up. None of it was coordinated. None of it was, hey, Trinidad, you're going to throw the 5 yard hook route on this play, like Lane Kiffin always does. Most of it was Georgia was running man coverage. They were locking down initial reads. And Trinidad Chambliss was literally just running around, making Georgia defenders miss, circling back, running 15 more yards to the opposite sideline, and then against his body, just flicking the ball forward for perfect throws and first downs. It was a magic show. It was like I was watching a magic show. So he was unreal. Kawan Lacey is so awesome. I do definitely think Kawan Lacey is the best running back in the playoffs right now. He was crazy. He's been crazy all year. He was crazy underrated. Like barely anyone was talking about Kawan Lacey. 22 carries, 99 yards, and 2 touchdowns. He was unreal. I mean, every time I see him in open space, he's making somebody miss. And this is against maybe the best tackling team in the country, that is the Georgia Bulldogs. So he was out of his mind. Harrison Wallace and Dazon Stripling both were unreal. Those are the two best wide receivers for Ole Miss. It felt like they were just in complete cahoots with Trinidad Chambliss when he was running around. It just turned into backyard football is what it was. And they were so good in the scramble drills, just following him around, finding themselves open grass, and just coordinating with their quarterback and making big time plays. The two of them combined, Harrison Wallace and Dazon Stribling, 16 catches for 278 yards and 1 touchdown. Whether it was run after the catch, whether it was the big time moments at the end of the game on 3rd down and 5 when Dazon Stribling ran a little stop and go and absolutely cooked whoever it was. I don't know if it was Dalen Everett or Ellis Robinson. I didn't. It might have been Romello Jones. I don't quite remember. But then Trinidad, I mean, he just had so much trust in those guys, so much belief in his boys and Harrison Wallace and Dazon Stribling to go out and make big time plays. And that's exactly what they did. And then the shout out of shout outs must be bestowed on Lucas Carniero, the starting kicker for the Ole Miss Rebels, who was 3 for 3 in this game, made from 55. That was a Sugar Bowl record. Then he made from 56. That's a Sugar Bowl record. And then the game winner from 47 yards out, and all three of those kicks were perfectly round down the middle. And I swear all three of those kicks would have been good from 80 yards. I don't care. That guy was just locked in. He was dialed. He was just striping each and every one of those right down the middle. It was unreal. Crazy performance from Lucas Carniero. And I just loved the second half of this game. Like, I remember it was 21-12 at halftime, and Ole Miss was struggling offensively. Like, their two scoring drives, they didn't get anywhere close to the red zone on their field goal kicks. And then their latter scoring drive to score a touchdown, they did put together a really good drive. But Ole Miss was struggling offensively a little bit in the first half. And then Georgia comes out in the second half, goes 3-and-out. And I was like, okay, Ole Miss, this is where they can maybe get some momentum. But then they turned it over on downs, and I was like, okay, darn, Georgia's got good field position. They're up by 9. They're going to go put this game away. Then Georgia missed a field goal. And then everything just went out the window, and Ole Miss had 3 straight scoring drives of just unreal, crazy, wild wickedness from Trinidad Chambliss. And after that, it was full on carnage and chaos, and that tended to favor Ole Miss in this football game. So it was really, really, really fun to watch. I loved every single second of it, and just huge congrats to Ole Miss. I mean, they put up 473 yards of total offense against Georgia. And I mean, this game had everything. What a crazy ending, too. Wheeling out the stage, pulling it back, then wheeling it back out, and then pushing it back towards the sideline because we had a ball that was a backwards pass from Georgia on a kickoff return that ducked around and hit the pylon with 1 second left. And then Georgia recovered their own onside kick and then had this crazy lateral play at the end of the game. Just wildness, absolute wildness. And I cannot tip my cap enough to Ole Miss, if I'm being clearly honest. They played so well in this football game to bring it home, despite a great effort from Georgia. Like, this is a moment from Georgia where, in my opinion, you just got to tip your cap. Because a lot of what you were doing in this game was working. Like, Gunnar Stockton did not play half bad whatsoever. They ran the ball pretty well. Nate Frazier was really good today, in my opinion. Their offensive line paved the way for them for sure. Gunnar Stockton, of course, he had 2 rushing touchdowns. I love watching Gunnar. I mean, he was such a gamer all year long. I look at Gunnar Stockton and I say, gamer, because he gives 110% no matter what, no matter how well he's playing, how well his defense is playing, what's going on, where he is, who he's playing against. No matter what, Gunnar Stockton will give you 110%. He will put his body on the line. And he's improved with his arm. He's not the best quarterback in the world. He's not going to be an amazing NFL talent. He can't layer the football at an elite level, but he's just a dog out there. Like that. That's just what he does. And then, of course, Zachariah Branch just played phenomenal. I just love watching Zachariah Branch. Something about Zachariah just appeases my brain. I don't know what it is. But that's number 1 on Georgia. That touchdown catch he made was insane. He was literally on the ground, and he made a touchdown catch. And every time he gets the ball on a screen pass or an open space, he's just impossible to bring down. You just can't bring him down. And Colby Young, how about Colby Young playing in this game? I swear that dude like broke his leg against Ole Miss in the early part of the season. Finds his way back into this football game, ends up being able to play. Wasn't a huge difference maker, only had 3 catches for 33 yards, but I thought it was just so impressive that he got out there and played football for Georgia despite that injury. So I honestly, if I'm a Georgia fan, I know this is a really hard loss. You played your hats off, you played your tails off in this football game, came up just a bit short. But if I'm a Georgia fan, I'm not circling a specific thing and saying, this was really rough for us. We couldn't do X, Y, Z. That's why we lost. To me, I thought a lot of what Georgia was doing was working. And when I watched the Ole Miss Georgia game the first time these two teams played, of course it was, touchdown, 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 no punts. I thought Georgia at the first part of the game was just getting completely out coached by Lane Kiffin. They ran a lot of zone coverage, and Lane Kiffin was able to really pretty easily pick that apart. It wasn't until Georgia decided, hey, you know what we're going to do? We're just going to go man to man, and we're going to lock your guys down instead of letting Lane Kiffin pick us apart. If you want to beat us, it's going to be Trinidad Shambles beating us and your wide receivers beating us. And Ole Miss couldn't do it. Georgia's defensive backs were too good. But this game, Georgia employed the same strategy. They ran man coverage again. They said, our guys are better than yours. We're going to cover you. And the only way you're going to beat us is by Trinidad making plays. But today, Trinidad threw all the coaching out the window. He said, you know what, I don't care what Lane Kiffin is telling me to throw here. I don't care what zone covers they're in. I don't care about making the right read. I'm just going to see man-to-man coverage. I'm going to roll around. I'm going to use my legs to make plays. I'm going to trust my arm and my guys down the field. And that's how we're going to win this game. And that is how they did. So, I mean, I thought Georgia coached a great game. I thought they did everything they could to stop this Ole Miss team. But at the end of the day, sometimes you just have to say, wow, the quarterback on the other team played out of his mind, and we have to give him credit. So I think that's what I should do if I'm a Georgia fan. But they had a phenomenal season. I mean, I'm tipping my cap to Georgia as well for winning the SEC again, getting a first round bye again, and just playing phenomenally throughout the whole year. They had so many situations where it looked like they were out of games and it looked like they were going to lose, and they were able to fight. This team gave 102%. I feel like every single football game. They just barely came up short to the Ole Miss Rebels today. And I can't wait to watch Ole Miss. I'm trying to be like the most unbiased fan when I'm watching football, when I'm doing this podcast. But when I watched Trinidad Chambliss just pull rabbit after rabbit out of his hat, I had to cheer for Ole Miss. I had to. And so I'm really excited they won that game, and I'm really excited I get to watch that Ole Miss team play in the next round against Miami. So, I mean, just an unreal performance, crazy win for Ole Miss. I was so excited to get on here and talk about it because I just had so much emotions to share, and I'm excited to watch this team moving forward for sure. And they will play, I guess, on Saturday night in the Fiesta Bowl against Miami. I will 100% be clearing my calendar that day and watching that football game with some friends. Cannot wait. It's going to be amazing. Next game we're going to talk about. If Ole Miss Georgia was the most compelling story, I know I got to take a deep breath because that was a lot. But the next game I have to talk about was the Indiana Hoosiers absolutely drumming the Alabama Crimson Tide 38-3. This game was not even close. They were up 17-0 at halftime, and Alabama didn't even have a punch left to throw in the second half. Ty Simpson did not play the whole game. He exited after the halftime with a cracked rib, is what I heard. So, I get why he stepped out. I know a lot of Alabama fans were saying, you can't just quit on the team, Ty Simpson. He didn't quit on the team. He cracked his rib and he couldn't play in the second half. So that's what happened with Ty Simpson. But this story is not about Alabama. I'm not going to talk a lot about Kalen DeBoer. I'm not going to talk a lot about Ty Simpson or Ryan Williams or whomever else. Because this day, this story and the Rose Bowl in California was all about the Indiana Hoosiers. I mean, this was unreal to wrap our minds around. The fact that Indiana dominated Alabama in the Rose Bowl 38-3. Here's some crazy stats about how unreal this win was for Indiana. This was Indiana's first bowl win since 1991. They haven't won a bowl game since 1991. Math department is telling me that is, oh my goodness, I can't do math. That is 14 years before I was born. I'm 20. That's the last time Indiana won a bowl game. Since then, Alabama has won like 6 national championships. Indiana hasn't won a bowl game. It's insane. This was Alabama's biggest loss since 1998 and their biggest postseason loss of all time. It didn't come at the hands of the Clemson Tigers or the Georgia Bulldogs or the Ohio State Buckeyes. It came at the hands of the Indiana Hoosiers. I mean, in the 4-team college football playoff era, Alabama made the playoffs more than Indiana made a bowl game. Like, these programs are completely different. They've been just absolutely at the complete ends of the spectrum in terms of college football for so long, and we are seeing the ultimate Cinderella story trump the goats and the University of Alabama. So, I mean, this was just an unreal, crazy thing to wrap your minds around. I'm gonna talk about the game now. I'm not gonna talk about the programs. I'm gonna talk about the game. The craziest stat to me about this game. I'm just gonna read this stat, okay? And just listen to this. Alabama played against Indiana on a neutral field, and the Crimson Tide had 23 yards rushing. Indiana, on the other hand, 215 yards rushing. So Alabama got outgained on the ground by Indiana by 192 yards. And if you do that, you are winning the football game. And not only that, but you're doing it decisively. And that's exactly what Indiana did. And the thing that I think is so cool about this Indiana team, and I've said a lot about them all year long. After they beat Oregon, I said, you know what? I'm picking Indiana to win the Heisman, or I'm picking Indiana to win the national championship. I'm picking them to win the Big Ten, and Fernando Mendoza to win the Heisman. I've been riding with these guys for so long, and I've said so many great things about them. But the thing that stands out the most to me about this team, when I watch other really good teams in the playoffs, like when I watched Ole Miss tonight, I was saying the whole time, wow, Trinidad Chambliss is awesome. Wow, Kawan Lacey is so good. Wow, their kicker is drilling kicks. Or when I watched Miami, it's wow, Ruben Bain is balling out, or Akeem Mesidor is playing out of his mind, or Malachi Tony is really, really good. That's what I say when I watch other teams. But when I watch this Indiana team, I say to myself, wow, that team is unreal. They just work together so, so well. They don't have anybody that stands out to me. Like, I don't watch that game and say, wow, this person, this person, this person, they're going to be NFL talent. They're so, so good. They're dominating this football game. I watch Indiana and I say, every single person on this team is coached so amazingly to do their jobs the best that they possibly can do. I mean, when I look at the box score, even Fernando Mendoza didn't have 200 yards passing. He didn't light it up like at a crazy amount. They didn't have a single running back run for 100 yards. Their leading receiver had 51 yards through the air. That is not that many. They didn't force multiple turnovers. They didn't have a multi-sack defensive lineman. They don't have that unreal dynamite, game-changing type player, but it does not matter. They don't need it. Every single one of their players executes their job at an elite level every single snap. They don't bust coverages. They don't make mental mistakes. They don't miss throws. They don't drop balls. They don't miss blocking assignments. They don't get out of position. They just make every single play that they're supposed to make without playing too aggressive, without being selfish. They are just the perfect football team. That is what Indiana is. It is so crazy to watch. I mean, I watched the offensive line even. I mean, they ran the ball for 215 yards on Alabama. They're not doing anything fancy in the run game. They're not throwing into rounds. They're not running weird design counters. They don't even have a quarterback run game really. Their quarterback run game is just Fernando Mendoza scrambling and the occasional QB draw. They don't run weird wide zones. They don't motion everybody around and try and confuse you. They just line up and they run duo and they run right at you and they say, you know what, we're gonna execute what we know how to do at an elite level, and you're not going to be able to stop us. And it's nothing fancy. It's 4 yards, 5 yards, 4 yards, 5 yards, 20-yard explosive. 4 yards, 5 yards, 4 yards, 5 yards, 20-yard explosive. And they do it at a consistent level, and it is just so impressive. And even if you just look at the line of scrimmage, like Alabama's defensive linemen kind of dwarfed Indiana's. Like Indiana's offensive line is real short. They're sawed off. They're not really big boys. Alabama's defensive line has the physical advantage. But Indiana just plays better. They play as a unit. They play as a team. They do their job. And it's so impressive to watch. I'm gonna keep saying that word about Indiana, impressive. It's just true. That is what it is. And Fernando Mendoza, I feel like all the time, every time Mendoza's asked about his Heisman Award, he said, "You know what? This is a team award. Like this award is not for me. This is for our team." And I couldn't agree more. Like Fernando Mendoza was 14 for 16 in this game with 193 yards passing and 3 touchdowns. It's not like he lit it up. He didn't throw for 400 yards. This wasn't a Heisman performance, but he doesn't need it to be. He just needs to do his job. He needs to execute what he is asked to do. And that is to play on time, that is to make accurate throws, and to not turn the ball over. And he does a perfect job at exactly that. They don't ask him to do anything special. He doesn't need to be Trinidad Shambles out there. He needs to be Fernando Mendoza and be a perfect cog in the absolute phenomenally well-oiled machine that is the Indiana offense. Their running backs, like they don't try and bounce things to the outside and make crazy plays and have awesome stiff arms. They just trust the offensive line. They hit the holes, and they do a perfectly good job at that. Their wide receivers, they just win against man coverage. If you want to run man coverage against Indiana, Charlie Becker will beat you. Elijah Surratt will beat you. Omar Cooper will beat you. And they're simple about it. There's nothing crazy about what they do. They just execute better than you. That is all that it is. Their defensive line is gap sound. And they were without their best defensive lineman in this game. They were still in the backfield all night because their blitz schemes are unreal. They know exactly which guys to send to confuse the offensive line, to get pressure to the quarterback. Alabama's offensive line didn't play a bad game. They hardly got beat at the line of scrimmage. Indiana just out-coached them and out-executed them. That's what I saw. Um, their secondary doesn't blow coverages. They run the best zone coverages ever. I mean, most of the times when teams struggle in zone coverage, it's because guys get too greedy. Safeties drift too far up. Hook curl defenders fall over receivers for too long. That team trusts each other so much that they can sit in their own zone coverages and cover their ground, do what they're supposed to do their job, and trust that their teammates around them are doing theirs. It is the most beautiful football team that I have ever seen. It is perfectly coached. They don't have any standouts. They don't need any because they are a well-oiled machine. That's what Indiana is. And this win just completely expressed that perfectly, in my personal opinion. So this was such an amazing performance from Indiana. I'm so impressed with them. If I and if I'm Alabama, I'm still proud of my boys. I still think they had a great season. Despite, I mean, just think about where they were in week one with that big time loss to Florida State. The fact that they went from there to winning the SEC in the regular season, making it to Atlanta, making it to the playoffs, winning a playoff game on the road against Oklahoma, the first road playoff game that anyone has ever won, and then even giving yourselves a chance to beat Indiana in the Rose Bowl, I think is a very, very impressive season for the Crimson Tide, especially given the fact that I don't think Kalen DeBoer has this team exactly where he wants them personnel wise. A lot of Saban guys are still in there, and there's nothing wrong with Saban guys. It's just that's not how DeBoer wants to run his team personnel wise. So if I'm an Alabama fan, I'm still confident about what I saw this season, and I'm excited about next year. They did really struggle in this football game. 100% they did. They got completely outcoached. Their coaching staff pretty much got pantsed. And I've seen that Alabama coaching staff pants other teams multiple times. It's just this year, you sometimes have to tip your cap to an amazing, amazing football team that is the Indiana Hoosiers. And that's pretty much all I have to say about Alabama. We'll see if Ty Simpson comes back. I think he probably will. And this team should be great next year still. Austin Mack looked great out there, by the way, just casually. So I'm still not bummed out if I'm an Alabama fan. It was a great season. Tough way to go out. I get it. Biggest loss in postseason history. But you also have a lot to be happy about, a lot to smile about, and your team gave you a really great season. Next game we're going to talk about was the very first game of the day, and that was the Oregon Ducks absolutely splattering the Texas Tech Red Raiders 23-0. This game was not even close. And it was all because of Oregon's amazing, amazing performance on defense. I mean, Texas Tech couldn't do anything out there. This is Texas Tech's drive chart. I feel like it's insulting to the Texas Tech Red Raiders to even read this out, but this was Texas Tech's drive chart throughout the entire game. They started the game with a 3-and-out. They then went 3-and-out. Then they threw an interception. Then they had a missed field goal. Then they had a fumble. Then another 3-and-out. Then it was halftime. So then they could catch their breaths. They went into halftime. They quote unquote adjusted. And then they went out and went 3-and-out again. Fumble again. That was a negative 26-yard drive, by the way. Negative 26 yards fumble. Then a turnover on downs, an interception, another turnover on downs, and then another turnover on downs, and the end of the game. So yeah, it was rough for Texas Tech. And I feel bad because a lot of Texas Tech fans showed up to watch my film breakdown and which other video? The prediction video. Like those were two of my most viewed videos ever. And unfortunately for them, the season ended on a bit of a sour note. But this isn't about the Texas Tech Red Raiders. This game was all about Dan Lanning, Dante Moore, and that unreal Oregon Ducks defense. What a performance. I mean, absolutely unreal. Texas Tech predicates a lot of what they want to do out of the screen game and the run game. And both of those things were completely held in check for Oregon. I thought maybe the most important thing to winning this football game on the defensive side of the ball for the Ducks was tackling well, because Texas Tech loves to get the ball out in space to their guys. If you're Oregon and you can tackle well, you can win the football game. They tackled so well. All of them really just flew around the field making plays. They were playing selfless football, and they were fundamentally sound for sure. And then they stopped the run really, really well, too. I thought Bryce Betker played his best game of the year. He was so good out there. Dylan Thienemann's been awesome all year, but that's not surprising. But Texas Tech, I mean, Cam Dickey, 11 carries for only 29 yards. And then Jacoby Williams had 13 for 81. But one of those carries was the 50-yard barn burner. If you take that carry out, Jay Will only had 12 carries for 31 yards. So Oregon's defensive line, they played dominant. They were so good in the front seven. They had 7 tackles for loss in this game. 4 of them were sacks. The other 3 were just making plays at near behind the line of scrimmage. So just what a performance defensively from Oregon. Then their secondary, oh my goodness, their secondary was insane. And Texas Tech only had 3 completions to a wide receiver all game long. 3 of them. That is insane. I mean, last Orange Bowl, of course, Drew Aller had 0 completions at all to his wide receivers. But this was pretty crazy too. Baron Morton only completing 3 passes to his wide receivers. Just absolutely unreal. They played such great man coverage. They played disciplined zone coverage. That whole secondary was just outside their minds in this game. Their corner one, the dude, the redshirt freshman Iffy, I can't pronounce his last name. That guy was all over the field making plays. And of course, I have to talk about the other dude, Brandon Finney Jr., the true freshman, 6'2", 204. I talked about him in the film breakdown, being a great cover corner. Today, he was that and more. The first interception he made was just a perfect rep of man coverage, chopping your feet, waiting for the receiver to cut, breaking on the football, high pointing the football, and getting your feet inbounds. It was perfect. His second interception was kind of really easy because Baron Morton is just not a good quarterback. And then he fumbled. He got the fumble recovery as well. So big time performance from Oregon. Their defense was so phenomenal. Like, it really was. Every aspect of the defense, the defensive line, the linebackers, and the secondary, they all balled out. They all played so well. And they have a lot to be proud about in Eugene, for sure. They also, I mean, offensively, it's not like they needed to play that great. Like, they didn't need all that much out of the offense. Dante Moore played well, I guess. I mean, he was 26 for 33, so he had a great completion percentage. He played consistently. He took what the defense gave him. He had 0 touchdowns. He had 1 interception. But everything was kind of on his shoulders offensively. I'm not talking about the game. Of course, Dante Moore could have played really bad and they still would have won this game. But, like, offensively, Oregon really struggled running the football. And I kind of thought that was going to be the case going into this game because Texas Tech, I mean, I'm going to talk about them in a second. They have an awesome defense, especially their defensive line. And, I mean, these are 3 guys from Oregon, their best 3 running backs, that usually average over 6 yards per carry. In this football game, Jordan Davison had 2.8 yards per carry. Noah Whittington only had 2.4 yards per carry. And De'Aaron Hill Jr. averaged 2.6 yards on the ground. So it's not like they were really explosive in the run game. And that really didn't help Dante Moore out very much. So I get that. I really do. But they didn't even need to be great. And, like, Romello Height and David Bailey were in the backfield pretty much all night. They were impacting the game for sure. Lee Hunter played out of his mind. So it was tough on Dante Moore for sure. But that being said, I mean, despite how well Oregon played, despite how great their defense was, and despite them making big time plays and big time moments, kind of off on the offensive side of the football, it felt like they still left a lot of meat on the bone. Like, they won by 23 points, but it felt like even then they could have won by a lot more. I mean, they had a drive, 13 plays, 47 yards, that they ended up going for it on 4th down at the end of that drive and missed it. Then the next time they had a big drive, it was 14 plays, 62 yards, went for it on 4th down again and didn't get it. And then they had a missed field goal from the Texas Tech 18-yard line. So that's honestly, like, right there is at least 9 points left off the scoreboard and is at most 21. So this could have been a whole lot worse if Oregon had played better in the big moments. That just goes to show you how dominant this Oregon defense really was in this football game. They played so well. Another guy I have to shout out, Tatum Tuioti. Just, he's one of my favorite defensive players, I think, in college football right now. Like, that dude balls out. One of my favorite quotes from him, and I didn't hear this quote until the Washington game. Someone asked him, I forget if it was a reporter, announcer, whomever. They asked him, "What is your like favorite way to get to the quarterback? Like, what's your favorite pass rush move?" And he goes, "Oh, I don't know. I just like running through people." Like that is football at its very finest. I just like running through people. Somebody frame it, put it on a T-shirt, hang it on a wall, do something. I really like Tatum Tuioti. He had 2 sacks in this football game. Played phenomenal. He had like I swear he had like 3 batted down balls too. He was active even when he couldn't get to the quarterback. So a lot of great stuff from him. And then of course, like I've already said, Thieneman, Betker, and Brandon Finney Jr. were both amazing too. I thought Kennedy had a great game as well in the secondary, making big time plays. So congrats to that Oregon offense, man. It is going to be tough to score on them for sure. And they advance to the semifinal round for a rematch with the Indiana Hoosiers. I cannot wait to talk about that game. I think I'm going to watch the whole game back for the first time that they played and sort of get some talking points on each of those teams. It's going to be a lot of fun. And I mean, what a matchup! I mean, how well Oregon is playing versus how well Indiana is playing. It's going to be so much fun to watch a Big Ten battle over there. And I wouldn't have would believed you if you told me, hey Robert, there's going to be 2 Big Ten teams playing in the semifinals of the college football playoffs. If you told me that at the beginning of the year, I would have been like, oh, it's Ohio State, Penn State, or oh, it's Ohio State, Oregon. No, Ohio State's not in this. Michigan's not in it. Penn State's not in it. It's Oregon, Indiana, and I think that is so phenomenal. I think it's a credit to both of these head coaches, to both of these programs for getting huge, huge wins and advancing to the semifinals. Couldn't be more proud of Oregon and Indiana, both of them. My thoughts on Texas Tech. First of all, congrats on Texas Tech for perhaps the best season in program history. They had a great run, went 12-2, won the Big 12, got to the playoffs, had a first round bye, and it's unfortunate that it has to go out like this with a very sour taste in their mouth. But I just want to give some justice for Texas Tech's defense, man. Like that defense is really, really good. They're awesome on the D line. Their linebackers Ben Robertson, Jacob Rodriguez, the Mustache Mafia. Texas Tech fans are going to remember the Mustache Mafia for years. They had amazing edge rushers, and this game was not on their defense. Their defense made a lot of big plays to keep their offense in it. Like the fact that this game was 6-0 at halftime was insanity. And that's all credit to Texas Tech's defense for sure. But man, Baron Morton just was awful out there. He played a really, really rough game. And I usually don't say this very often about quarterbacks because I think there's so much more that goes into the game or there's so much more that goes into the game that's not just does your quarterback play well. And I think a lot of times when teams lose, people sort of always just go to blame the quarterbacks and it's not always their fault. But man, Baron Morton played a bad game out there. It was really rough. Let's see, he was 18 for 32 with 137 yards and 2 interceptions. 32 passing attempts, 137 yards. That is bad. That is really, really bad. And I mean, it's not like they could run the ball, and their skill position players really weren't bailing him out. And usually, when Baron Morton has really good performances, it's because Texas Tech can run the ball for 200 yards, and his receivers catch the ball at the line of scrimmage and take it for like 20 yards. But that didn't happen because Oregon tackled so well. And because of that, Baron Morton was kind of forced to beat him. And he just didn't. Like, he just straight up didn't. It felt like he was allergic to throwing anything beyond 5 yards of the line of scrimmage. He made like one good throw in this game, and that was the deep sail route. Other than that, it was rough to watch. And I mean, again, I've been saying all year, I really like Texas Tech. I really like their skill position players and their defense, but I just can't pick them to win the national championship because I don't think Baron Morton is very good. When did it come back to bite him? It came back to bite him right here against Oregon. But shout out to the Ducks, man, my Ducks. Like the only 2 games that I got right today were Oregon and Indiana winning the games. So shout out to the Big Ten for keeping my picks alive when Georgia and Ohio State choose to lose. That being said, we're gonna move on to the Friday night game, the Ohio State Miami game. That's how crazy this day and this week is, by the way, for college football. That the last game that I'm talking about is Miami beating Ohio State. It's the 10 seed beating the 2 seed. It's the reigning national championships or the reigning national champions and the favorites to win it again getting eliminated in their first game of the playoffs. That's the game I'm talking about last. And should I be talking about it last? Probably not. But that's just where we are in life right now. Um, how did Miami pull this off? Honestly, it's a great question because Carson Beck, again, doesn't really do anything to win this game. Like Carson Beck, if you were to tell me that Miami would be in the semifinals of the college football playoffs at the beginning of the year, I would have said to you, oh, wow, so Carson Beck must be playing really, really good ball. Like he must have done a really good job to win those games to put them where they are. And then if you were to tell me they won at Kyle Field and then against Ohio State, I would have said, oh, wow, yeah, Carson Beck must really be balling. He must really be playing off the chain. I mean, this Miami offense basically put up 10 points and beat Ohio State. I mean, yeah, they had 24 on the scoreboard, but 7 of those points was a pick six. So pretty much all, like literally all your defense. And the other 7 of those points that I'm discrediting was the last minute touchdown run that Ohio State was basically begging you to score. So this offense really didn't do very much at all to win this game. I mean, I guess they only turned the ball over once, and they played smart football, and they were good on third down for sure. But I mean, just the fact that that Miami has beaten Ohio State and A&M, and in those 2 games, Carson Beck has combined for less than 250 passing yards, is just wild to me. Like they're winning this game just because their defense is so good. I mean, that leads me to the point that I have to talk about. This Miami defense is unreal. Like this front seven is so good, and of course it starts with Ruben Bain, and he's phenomenal, and he's probably their best player. And he's so well rounded. He's so good at stopping the run. He's a great pass rusher and all that. But in my opinion, he's not even the best or the second best pure pass rusher on Miami's defense. Like, Akeem Mesidor is so good. Like that dude is so consistently dominant. And then Marquise Lightfoot, the big 6'5", 230-pound edge rusher from Miami, is a force. He cues up NFL pass rush move after NFL pass rush move, and he makes plays all game long. And then they just have so many dogs in the front seven. Jacoby Thomas played out of his mind. Mohamed Toure, I think that's how you pronounce his name. I don't know. I could be wrong. He was phenomenal. Wesley Basant was really good in this game. Keontae Scott might be the best nickel in the country. He just makes plays all up and down the field. And I mean, it wasn't like Malachi Tony was great in this game. They held him in check too. Like Malachi Tony only had 5 catches for 16 yards, and then he had 1 rush for 4 yards. Like he's their best player on offense, in my opinion. Completely locked down by Ohio State, but it didn't matter because their defense was playing so well. I mean, guys, they played at A&M and against Ohio State and have given up 0 first half points. That is crazy. So, I mean, that being said, hats off to Miami's defense for just putting up an unreal effort in these 2 playoff games, for playing great football, and for getting to the semifinals of the college football playoffs. It's unreal. And credit to their offense for running the ball well. I mean, once again, we saw them do this against A&M. We saw them do it against Ohio State. When the passing game isn't working, when the secondaries are playing good ball, and when your offensive line, frankly, isn't giving you very much time to make decisions, and you have the luxury of being able to give it to Mark Fletcher when the game is on the line, that is so crucial to have when you're trying to win big football games in the fourth quarter. So big time shout out to Mark Fletcher and that offensive line for paving the way. And then for Ohio State, again, you still had a great year, went undefeated in the regular season. I know you lost your 2 biggest games at the end of the year, and it's frustrating. I get it, but still, it was a good, solid season. And honestly, it was a good effort put up by the Buckeyes in this game. Jeremiah Smith played out of his mind. Julian Sand, this was definitely his worst game of the year. The pick six was just kind of a bad play call. It was just very obvious what they were running. And then that other I don't remember his other interception, if I'm being completely honest. The game was a while ago. But in my opinion, the main problem about this Ohio State team, they didn't really run the ball very well in this football game. I mean, they threw it 35 times and they handed it off to their running backs 18. Like, that is very disproportionate. I think if Ohio State had established a run game better, I think that's the key to winning this game. But they didn't because Miami's defensive line was phenomenal. But again, I mean, a great defensive performance again from Ohio State. This game is not on their defense at all. To me, it's on not being able to run the ball as well and the struggles from Julian Sane. But he should be back next year. The team, Jeremiah Smith will be back next year. This will be a great football team next year for sure. So they got a lot to look forward to. But what a matchup we're getting between Miami and Ole Miss in the semifinals. I can't wait for it. I can't wait for all the college football from the semifinals. I mean, we just get 2 amazing games between 4 great programs, and it's gonna be fun to watch. I don't even know who I'm gonna pick yet. Like usually when I get to see games, like, oh yeah, I'm picking this team or I'm picking that team. It's gonna be pretty obvious. I have no idea what I'm gonna do because Oregon and Indiana are both playing an extremely high level of football. How can I pick against one of those teams? I mean, they're both playing so good. And then the Ole Miss Miami game. I mean, talk about 2 teams that are just polar opposites in what they want to do stylistically. It's going to be really hard to pick that game as well. So I'm excited to do it, though. I'm excited to talk about it this week leading up to those games. I'll definitely have a lot of videos out breaking those down. And if you watched all the way to this point of this video, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I can tell you really love ball, and I really love ball. So big time shout out to you, the viewer. And speaking of you, no matter where you are in your life, no matter who you're with, no matter what you're doing, I hope that you always know that God loves you so so much, more than you could ever comprehend. And you might be scared right now, or confused, or worried, or feeling any sort of emotion with things going on in your life. But just know this: God has a plan for you. He has a beautifully crafted, amazing story made just for you. And the only way that we will find true happiness and true fulfillment on this life is through that story. And I know it's hard for us as human beings because there are so many earthly things that are amazing, that catch our eye, that draw our attention. But in reality, the thing that really fulfills us and makes us happy and filled with love inside is choosing the story that God has written for us. And if you're angry that I'm saying this, or you're confused about what I'm saying, or whatever it is, um, just know that God loves you. And if you don't believe in God, that's okay, because God believes in you. And he will never give up on you, and he will never stop loving you, and he will never stop believing in you. And this is not me saying I'm better than you. I'm not. I'm a very flawed, very sinful human being. And I try my best to be the man that God calls me to be every single day. But the reality is that I will fall short every single time, because that's not okay. It's just who I am. But that doesn't mean that God still doesn't believe in me, and that he still has a plan for me, and that I can still have hope and faith and love in him. And that's just what I'm trying to do on this planet. So thanks so much for watching. I hope you'll have a great 2026. I'm praying for each and every one of y'all, and I hope that you pray for me, because I need it. And again, thanks so much for watching. God bless, and have a great year. Have a great 2026. And sorry, man, I kind of still have the flu. Um, and I really, really hope that this video finds you well, and you have a great day. So thanks so much for watching. Go make somebody smile tomorrow. And I don't care if you're, go Hoosiers, go Ducks, Hottie Toddy, and what was the last team that won today? Oh, go Canes, baby. Go Canes, Miami Canes. Shout out Gil, by the way. Gil Ward, one of my great friends in Alabama's big Miami fan. So with that, God bless. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see y'all later. Peace.